Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Scrum. I am your host, Matt Galaxsi, and today we've got a couple of interesting new stuff that I actually wanted to talk about. One of which is just something that kind of happened in the week, kind of related to something else, and also the return of Latrell Mitchell, but not as you think it is. All that and more on this episode of the Galaxsi Scrum. Heyo, and welcome to the podcast, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day. I hope everyone had an interesting day. I had an interesting day, if I'm being completely honest with you. Just want to say, let's see, it was raining. Almost got rear-ended this afternoon, so that was pretty funny. I'm all good. Everything's fine. And yeah, just rain, you know. That's sunny Queensland for you, if you're being honest. But yeah, we've got some interesting stuff to talk about on the podcast today. And if you haven't already, if you enjoy stuff like this, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also, why don't you go ahead and head on over to Spotify, where you can actually listen to this podcast after we have recorded it live. That will be linked in the description of the Spotify. No, the Spotify will be linked. Actually, I will link the Spotify right now. But how you doing, chat? Welcome on in. Hello, JLR. Hello, Penguins. And hello, Blake. Hope you're all having a great and fantastic day. Just give me a sec, guys. I will copy the show link for you. You guys can go and check that out. And yeah, we've got a fair bit to talk about today. There is, I will say this, by the way. I have an update in terms of something that you guys might be interested in to know. Memberships. I am in the process of finalizing them now. I am going to be actually uploading them to YouTube potentially next weekend. But I have finalized the tiers, and I have finalized what I want you guys to get out of the memberships. Quite excited to share those in an upcoming video. And also next week, I will also say this, I am filming the Storm Career Mode final game. So next Saturday, I will be filming those outside of stream, because we will be doing that. That will be my Saturday. So they will be filmed. They will be edited potentially on Monday, not all of them, but I also want to make some time so I can actually edit the grand final one, because that'll be the bit, if we get to the grand final, that is. So, yeah, I am quite interested to get into this episode. Penguin says you should do a Rabbitohs and Roosters on Rugby League Live 4. We have already done our fixture showdown for this week, and I will unfortunately not be able to do any more. I have something that I need to do. I'm doing something this weekend that I'm literally not going to have any time for content creation, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. So I won't be able to do another one of those. And tomorrow night, I need to get some stuff ready for the weekend. That being said, let's jump into the episode of the Galaxsi Scrum. I actually don't have any water. One sec, guys. I will get that sorted. Guys, we get into some stuff. Casually cut the episode. It's all good. It's all good. I will say this. We actually have a guest next week. We have a guest confirmed for next week, and we're going to be talking about anything that breaks, but there's going to be some interesting. We're going to be talking about an interesting topic. I will give you guys a clue on who it will be. The main thing they are known for, they are not a YouTuber, or at least I don't think they are. They are not a YouTuber. They are from a different platform entirely, and their key thing is jerseys. So yeah, bottoms up. All right. Let's get in to, and I have to do super chats real quick. I don't think we got anything new in the last week. I'll just check. No, nothing new this week, but thank you. If you guys do super chat, don't feel pressured to do it. But if you do, I seriously thank you in advance. So here we go. All right, so we're going to kick off the scrum with the round review. I'm also hoping for a bit of a longer episode of the scrum tonight. So if we get a bit more time, there might be a third topic that I do want to talk about. I do want to talk about the new rugby league video game. If we don't get time, I'll check the time when we get to that point. And if we get time, I will talk about it, because there's some interesting stuff that was developed today, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm also checking like Twitter and Facebook to make sure that we get any like breaking news or anything. I don't think we have any breaking news, but that is okie dokie. All right. So, and also guys, make sure you follow us on social media so you guys can stay up to date with everything to do with Galaxsi Footy. All right, so let's get into the round review. Starting off, round 4 of the 2025 NRL Telstra Premiership delivered actually a fair few, not gonna lie, this was a very tough weekend to watch if you guys are footy tippers. So let's go and let's go ahead. And yes, we will get into my tips shortly for this round. Round 4, here we go. South Sydney Rabbitohs 28 defeat the Penrith Panthers. Oh boy, 18. That is like, wow, what a game that was. Honestly, for those who don't know, the halftime score was 28-0. Penrith did end up winning the second half with 18-0, but the damage had already been done at that point. Like, holy crap. I think South Sydney have cemented themselves as a possible top 8 contender, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like, and I believe, if I recall correctly, I think the Rabbitohs have only lost one game, and that was against the Sharks. Yep, one loss. 3 wins, 1 loss, no buys. That's just absolutely mental. That is absolutely mental. And by the way, I just want to say there are 3 teams currently in the top 4, and there are 4 teams in the top 4. Sorry, I'm getting my words all mumbled up. And 3 of them, there's only 1 team that is undefeated. We'll talk about them shortly. But there are 3 teams, including first, second, and third, that are ahead of the team coming in 4th, who is the only team in the top 4 to have a bye so far. So the Bulldogs, Sea Eagles, and Broncos have not had a bye yet, and they're already above the Melbourne Storm, which is pretty insane if you're being completely honest. But I think we've got some interesting competition this year. And again, like people say, this is one of the toughest and hardest competitions to pick in 2025. But yeah, South Sydney delivering that brutal blow for Penrith. Penrith are now lost 3 on the trot. So quite honestly, they're going to be looking for a win next week. And they are due for a really easy win. And honestly, I hope the next team does provide them a challenge. And it's just the Cowboys. I don't know why I'm dragging this out. But yeah, definitely a good performance by the South Sydney Rabbitohs, if I'm being completely modest with it. Then we move on over to Allianz Stadium. The Sydney Roosters 12 lost to the Gold Coast Titans 30. The Titans are now on a 2-win winning streak, and and honestly, it's looking pretty good for the Titans, if I'm being completely honest right now. The Titans are looking to potentially go 3 in a row, which that's going to really make them a premiership threat. I will say this. I feel like the Titans have had, the one loss that the Titans have had was like, well, you're against a team that is a premiership contender. So you got to give them that. But they were still pretty performant in that actual game. So quite honestly, the fact that the Titans are doing really well right now, it's a testament to how Des Hasler has actually grown that team. And I thought I saw a bug on my screen. Whoops. just quietly crapping myself on stream. Then we move back up to Suncorp Stadium. Dolphins 12 lost to the Broncos 20. I'm just going to be completely honest. I thought this was a little bit of an improved Dolphins side. However, there was a lot of opportunities that the Dolphins could have taken that they just didn't. And I'm just going to be completely blunt with you guys right now. Where is Hammer? Like, Hammer has not even scored a try this year, and I'm quite honestly concerned about him because the dude is like failing to get into actual games right now. And Honestly, Asako is there right now. He is like, Asako's been doing really well. And so is Jeremy Marshall King. I will say that with the amount of tackles he's done. But quite honestly, like, Hamaso hasn't even been existing. And that's quite honestly really concerning, because Hamaso is probably one of their marquee signings. And the last 2 years has been absolutely like, he has been an absolute force in the entire NRL. And like, this year, he's just not been that great, if I'm being completely honest. Now, that could change with the next round. We'll see what happens. But Dolphins, like, it was more improved. And I definitely felt like the Broncos, they weren't at their best, but they definitely did perform really well. The Shibasaki revival arc is absolutely insane as well. So that is quite honestly, like, the Broncos definitely deserved. And honestly, the last 2 weeks, he's not been playing well, but this time I feel like he had definitely a better game. Reece Walsh. Like, he's definitely, like, there wasn't a bad player for the Broncos this time around. Katoni Staggs doing his signature. This is our house signature. Just, mwah. Good win for the Bronx. They've got a bit of a toughie coming up, actually, which we'll get to shortly. Then, holy shit, who saw this coming? By the way, in terms of tipping, I was 0-3 at this point, just before anyone asks. Then we head on over. Who the hell saw this coming? St. George Illawarra Dragons 14 defeat the Melbourne Storm 8. Wow. Okay. That was absolutely insane. That was definitely a gritty win for the Dragons. A definitely well-deserved win, if I'm being completely honest. However, there was one try that was disallowed for the Melbourne Storm, which I believe there was a lot of debate around it within the week. Unfortunately, I did not pay attention too much to this game, but when I saw the score, I was like, holy sugar. That was a very bad loss for the Storm. And then this week, they'll definitely be looking for a good win. They'll definitely be looking for a win this week. And I think they'll get it with the team that they're going to be against. So we'll see how the Storm respond. But definitely a really good performance for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Finally getting on the board in 2025. I'm back like 2 years. And interestingly enough, the Dragons are only like 1 win, 2 losses right now. But yeah, they could get to a 50% win rate in the next round. So we'll get right to that currently. So let's go ahead to the next game. Dragons don't train like military people, and they still won. Yeah, that's just a really interesting statement there from one of our viewers. His name is Rugby. Then we go up to sunny Townsville, and it's the North Queensland Cowboys finally getting on the board for 2025, 30 against the Canberra Raiders 20. This game went down to the wire. However, I definitely felt like the Cowboys were on top of them all of the game, so they were able to get the win. And honestly, I do believe this was one of the teams. This was the first game I got right this week. And quite honestly, I was like, okay, this wasn't the first team I thought would get right, but the Cowboys securing a 30-20 victory, a very good win, very outstanding from the Cowboys, if I'm being completely honest. Raiders are starting to slip. We were definitely too early to talk about the Raiders, weren't we, folks? Like, oh my goodness. And I definitely feel like Jake Clifford has definitely earned his 7 jersey. I feel like he is definitely a better choice over the other guy, if I'm being completely honest with you. But that being said, it's all good. I believe, I'm just looking at the team stats here. 52%. The Raiders were actually pretty dominant. And actually, going back to the Broncos-Dolphins game, I believe the Dolphins actually had more possession of the ball, but they just failed. Yeah, 53% for the Dolphins, 47% for the Broncos. Like, completion rates were 80% to 89%. Like, wow. Not so good from the Dolphins. Yeah, unfortunately, the Raiders aren't doing that great. So I definitely think we're a bit too premature with our statement. Then, oh my God, who saw this coming? Cronulla Sutherland Sharks 6 lost to the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs 20. Bulldogs have just put a statement out to every single team to say, we're here and we want the premiership. Bulldogs are currently sitting first on the ladder, and quite honestly, the fact they were able to defeat a heavyweight in terms of the Sharks, in terms of premiership, that Sharks are basically, I feel like now, the Sharks are now not as much as a premiership contender than the Bulldogs are. I feel like the Bulldogs are actually going to the grand final this year. About middle of the second half, I was like, you know what? These guys are going to be top four. I definitely don't think they'll get to the grand final. But then after the end, I was just like, mate, these guys are going to be grand finalists. Like, I definitely see the Bulldogs being up there this year, maybe against the Broncos. That would be a good grand final. Bulldogs v Broncos. But Broncos would definitely take the win on that one. But definitely a very good win. Jacob Preston had a really good game. I think he scored a few tries, actually. Jacob Preston, he was very dominant. Stephen Crichton was really good. And Bronson Xerri, too. Absolutely good team. And then they had a silly sin bin at the end of the game. I don't know why someone decided to do that. But yeah, definitely a good win for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. If you're a Bulldogs supporter, be very excited for this year. And then, okay, this one was kind of like a, this was definitely seen coming. The Sea Eagles 26 defeat the Parramatta Eels 12. Definitely a more gritty win. Now, the Sea Eagles definitely lost Tom Trbojevic. We'll get into that very shortly. That's definitely a big loss for them. But definitely the Sea Eagles get another win on the board. Now, I think the Sea Eagles are actually in second right now. They are also one of the teams to beat at the moment, obviously with DCE as well. Now, this also raises some questions because if Manly win next week against the Melbourne Storm, I will say this. I do think Manly can, if Manly beat Storm next week without Tom Trbojevic, I will say Manly is also a premiership contender. Sea Eagles have just been absolutely a great team. Honestly, some of these teams are just performing a lot better and a lot worse than I initially predicted. And quite honestly, I'm enjoying it. I think this season is going to be really hard to predict. I have a funny feeling we're going to get to the grand final and it's going to be two teams that we didn't even expect to be in the grand final. We'll get to that. Yeah, I definitely think, I think Bulldogs could be up there. I think Manly could be up there. Broncos definitely could be up there. Even Titans. Or even the Warriors. The Warriors, oh my goodness. Oh man, that was absolutely insane. And speaking of the Warriors, another win for the Warriors. Their only loss is in Vegas right now, so that's absolutely insane. The West Tigers lose 24-26 against the New Zealand Warriors. It was a thriller in Campbelltown Sports Stadium. The only thing was is that the Tigers made a very bad mistake at the end of the game where Taruva played the ball and the Warriors dived on it. There was no one there. Wow. Tigers actually could have definitely won that. Now, there was a lot of debate that it sounded like West Tigers didn't have a lot of good things going for them in terms of calls and stuff, which kind of sucks if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, there was a lot. You can't really make an excuse for a team if you're losing that badly. So, yeah, unfortunately, the Tigers, their win streak comes to an end. But they could have definitely won that. Now, the question is, will they beat the Kings next week? So that is our round review done. I only got 2 tips this week. I'll get into the round, my best and worst shortly. But we're going to follow up with some suspensions and injuries. So from round 4, the suspensions are as follow. Jerome Luai, careless tackle on Ed Kussi. Luai faces 1 match. He is now suspended for 1 round. Alex Safehalf has also been suspended. No, he hasn't. That is a fine. Jordan Ricky is suspended for 2 games. Gilbert is also suspended. He is suspended for 1 game. Gula has Amir Gula from the Dragons. He's been suspended for 3. Just double checking, make sure these are right. Gula. Yep. 3-match ban. He's accepted it. So the Dragons will be without him for 3 games. And then there is also Interesting. Did Tupanua not get suspended? Yeah. He was not mentioned. That's interesting. He's not in the list. He is not in the list. That is quite interesting. Why is he not in the list? But still, Tupanua will miss one match after pleading guilty to a grade 2 dangerous contact on Braden Trindle. In terms of injuries, a big loss for the Panthers. Brian Toto left the field with a hamstring injury during round 4. He appeared to be moving well as he exited, but the scans are pending to determine the severity. I believe, as an update, Toto is going to be out for a while. Whoa, he's out for a while. Damn. And then Dylan and Scott Sorensen and Dylan Edwards aren't back till round 6. That's actually insane right now. For the Panthers. Damn. Cleary comes back next week, but like they've lost a lot of firepower, the Panthers. And honestly, they actually have a big performance like coming up as well. They also not mentioned here as well, I just realized, is Alex Johnston. He just came back from a Achilles injury, if I recall correctly. But he's now on the sideline for his ribs. Now, apparently it won't be as long this time, so that's a relief. But yeah, Alex Johnston, like absolute terrible. He just came back from a massive injury, and quite honestly, it's just shocker for him, and you feel bad for him, honestly. Dude has a good future ahead of him. If he how old is he, by the way? He's 30. Oh, okay, interesting. So definitely Alex Johnston. We wish you the best, man. Just got back, which sucks. Jack Williams has a knee injury. He's going to be out for 6 weeks. That's actually that was old news, so we already knew that. Hazelton, he continues to be unavailable due to injury. He's only played 1 game this season. I want to see some more details about that. Let's see. Hazelton. Thomas Hazelton, he is back for next round. So he should be playing next round, if I'm being completely honest. So where's the Sharks? Oh yeah, the first game. Hazelton is in now. I think he's starting from the bench though. Yep. Tom Hazelton is starting from the bench. So that's interesting. Rocco Berry missed the round 4 match after sustaining a minor hamstring strain, but he is all good now. So I believe Rocco Berry is actually playing. No, he's not, because it is a bye for the Warriors this week. And finally, probably the biggest injury for this week, Tom Trbojevic from the Sea Eagles sustained a knee injury in round 4. It's suspected to be an MCL injury, which could sideline him for 5 to 6 weeks, which I believe we have an update on that. Round 9. He will be back in round 9. Most of these folks are coming back in Magic Round. Like, holy crap. How many people are coming back in round 9? Moses is due back in round 9. Toto is due back in round 9. Tom Trbojevic due back in round 9. Eero is due back in round 9. Nick Meaney is due back in round 9. And Tom Ale is also due back in round 9. The Magic Round is going to be the return of the Kings, if I'm being completely honest right now. And quite honestly, I'm quite interested to see how how these injuries are going to go. And now we get to the awards for this week for the round review. The best team, hands down, definitely was the Bulldogs. Now, I feel like there could be an argument made for the Rabbitohs here, which I absolutely agree with. However, the fact that the Bulldogs were able to hold off the Sharks, score 20 points against them without one of their key playmakers or their key spine players, I think that is evidence that this team is actually going to be a premiership contender. So I am actually really excited to see how the Bulldogs go. Obviously, they might start losing all their games after this, so you never know. So I may have just cursed them, but you'll wait and see. But for the Rabbitohs as well, scoring 28 points against the reigning premiers, that's definitely a big deal. I know they didn't have Nathan Cleary, and I know they lost Toto in the middle of the game. But quite honestly, that is also another reason why they should be best team. So honorable mention goes to the Rabbitohs as well. Worst team, on the other hand, and I'm so happy to put these guys here, is the Panthers. 28-0 against a young side for the reigning champions. at halftime. Yikes. That's yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, as soon as halftime happened, there was an edited video of someone freaking out in the change room going, "We need to keep our composure." And Ivan Cleary's face had just been like photoshopped on it. It was just like yeah, you have to feel for Ivan Cleary after that. Like, holy crap. Like, why? Like, why? Like, just wow. Now, the Panthers did come back out and score 18 points against the Rabbitohs, but at that point, the damage had already been absolutely done. So, yeah, worst team is the Panthers. The surprise team for this round, not the best team, but the surprise team is beating the Premiership favourites for 2025, the Melbourne Storm. The surprise is the Dragons. Yeah, definitely. That is definitely a surprise. Daddy Wayne, Bunnies guys. Oh, hey, Bunnies guys has just joined us. Up to Bunnies. Daddy Wayne got his revenge. That is very funny. Yes, definitely agree with that. But yeah, beating the Dragons, beating the Storm. Sorry, an absolute big win for the brand new side. And quite honestly, like, that's insane how they've done that. Like, well done to the Dragons. Like, seriously, like, got to give you credit there. And they did it without Ben Hunt too. So there you go. And this round's MVP is Jeremiah. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce this. I need to actually look at this. Hold on. I want to make sure I get this right because he's actually one of the Broncos players. All right, hold on. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. I know his last name's Shibasaki. What is it? Gehamat Shibasaki. Have you talked about Latrell yet? No, we're getting to that. The MVP is Guramat Shibasaki. The revival of this man's career has been crazy. If you saw the post-match press conference with Michael Maguire and Adam Reynolds, they absolutely talked this guy up like crazy. Now, I'm going to pull this guy up because this guy is actually, like, his statistics has been absolutely insane. Let's see. Like, he has scored 3 tries so far in the year. Now, he scored 1 try against the Roosters and 2 tries against the Dolphins. Definitely, he could be in the mood for a hat trick at some point. But this guy has barely played any games for only a few teams. His debut year was 2018 with the Broncos. Then he played 12 games for the Broncos in 2019, which I believe that was the first year Seabolt was in there. 2020 he played for the Knights. 21 he played for the Knights. Had a win rate of 73%. That's pretty impressive. Then he played for the Cowboys. Then he played for the Rabbitohs. Like, it was solo game counts, if I'm being completely honest. And then in Broncos, he's played 4 games and already he's scored 3 tries. Absolutely great guy, if I'm being completely honest. And quite honestly, the revival of this career, like, absolutely great. And the players are all talking him up. And it was quite a surprise that this guy didn't get dropped, but Mariner got dropped instead. So if Madge is seeing something in this player, I think we're in for a very special year with this guy. And his other, like, the fact that this guy wasn't dropped for Katoni Staggs, but instead he was kept for Dean Mariner. I think this is absolutely interesting. Like, I think this guy is going to be a really great player in 2025. Fingers crossed, no injuries happen. And that's it for the round review of round 4. What did you guys think? I only got 2 tips this week, so pretty disappointed in myself, if I'm being completely honest. But there you go. But yeah, so yeah, pretty interesting. What do you guys? How do you guys take that round? That was quite interesting. We're gonna go over to the chat right now while I look out for some stuff. Oh, Val Clemmer died. Oh. That sucks. Sorry, rest in peace, man. So I don't think we're going to hear anything from chat right now. I have a very dead chat right now. If you're listening on Spotify, absolutely highly recommend you come and subscribe and watch the live version of this podcast. LOL. All right, I'm going to take a bowl of water and we're going to talk about our first topic for this scrum. Okay. So, you guys ready for this? We might get a bit of controversy for this one. Chat is never dead. Hello, penguins. Welcome back, penguins. All right, here we go. This week's topics. So we have two topics that I want to talk about today. One of which I think Bunny's guy is going to be interested here because it is about Latrell, and we're going to talk about centers and also Jye Grey as well. But the first thing we're going to talk about, and quite honestly, I noticed this right yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before? It was absolutely annoying. And I remember, because I was actually talking to my girlfriend earlier this week. And I said like, oh, all the high tackles are going to be deemed as instant sin bins, which is absolutely insane. That was absolutely insane. But that news article was immediately circulating the entire web, like the entire internet. And like, quite honestly, it was big. It was a big thing because it meant the NRL is going to crack down on high tackles. Now, here's the thing. How did this become news? This was broken on NRL 360 and one journalist, which I won't mention who, but you could probably figure out who, if I'm being completely honest. Let's just say he's got a bit of a buzz around him. Let's just say that. Probably just gave it away, but there. He went on NRL 360 and said, let me do the voice. I have talked to the, I think Graham Ansley, if I recall correctly, and he says that all high tackles will be given an instant sin bin. Immediately this blew up, like, because this is huge. Like, all high tackles are going to be sin bins. How do you train your players to not do high tackles? Like, obviously you need to stop, and obviously there is a way, but sometimes accidents are going to happen. It got so big that, first of all, Fox League immediately reported it because that was an absolute huge thing. But moments later, it got taken down. The reason being is because Andrew freaking Abdo had to come on NRL 360. Wasn't initially planned, I should add. Wasn't initially planned, and explained that not all high tackles are going to be sin bin, but anything with the shoulder to the head will be instant sin bins. They are definitely cracking down on the shoulder to the head, which is absolutely fine because that is definitely should not be in the game. But the fact of the matter is that Andrew Abdo had to come down and clarify it because immediately the entire community blew up. There were like people saying like, oh, there's going to be like tons of sin bins now. The refs are going to have too much control over the game and all that. All this stuff just blew up, which is absolutely understandable. I was even questioning it. I was just like, mate, it's becoming Rugby League Life 4. But Andrew Abdo came on, calmed down everyone, and he just said, look, it's direct shoulder to the head. That will be an instant sin bin. Okay. Everyone calms down. So that was initially going to be the topic I was going to talk about on the scrum. But after all this happened, I decided to change it to this. Do you guys honestly think that the journalists have way too much power over the game? There's rumors and misinformation. There's impacts on players. There's fan confusion. Even Daily Cherry Evans has said stuff. And then there's there's examples of of different things going on. Like, the thing is that it seems like the journalists just have way too much power about what can happen. They can make shit up. That's how much control they have it. And the thing is, they can make something so ridiculous, like Adam Reynolds is leaving the Broncos and he's going to be signing a 5-year deal with the Melbourne Storm. First of all, how the hell would he do that? And second of all, like, the thing is, people are going to believe it. I know today, yesterday, it was either yesterday or today, it was yesterday because it was April Fool's Day. Zero Tackle actually made an article, obviously as an April Fool's joke, that says like Mitchell Moses is ruled out for the entire season. That, like, oh my God, can you imagine like how para fans would feel about that? Like, absolutely, absolutely, like they would be shocked. They would be like, I remember because I sent it to my friend who's like, he doesn't really follow the NRL too much, but he looked at that article and said, well, guess Para's getting the spoon. He didn't even click the article. That's how like, that's like, yeah. And I'm just like, dude, click the article and he gets fooled. And I'm just like, oh, there you go. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, quite interestingly, it's, I feel like journalists just have way too much power over the game. For example, I have seen instances where a journalist has reported something on a player. One example, Chad Townsend, saying he's not happy at the Cowboys. I think this was in 23, and that he wants to go back down to Sydney. Chad Townsend had to jump on his own YouTube channel and say, mate, this is not true. I'm contacting the reporter because I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, they are doing anything for clicks. They are doing anything. And I even remember, like, because I recently read Ivan Cleary's book, and he even said, like, the reporters will do anything. You can say what, you can mean well with whatever you say, but the journalists will twist it in a way so they get more clicks and it looks twisted and diabolical. It's absolutely unfair. It's absolutely unfair. Like, I could be a reporter. I could see all those videos of Reece Walsh not like celebrating the team song with the Broncos, and I could say, oh, he must not be celebrating. That means he must not be happy at the Broncos. Reece Walsh leaving the Broncos to the Wolves in the Super League. Like, do you know how ridiculous that sounds? But here's the thing. Journalists have way too much power over the media. There has been journalists who have made biff articles between two players, and the players have just come out and been like, we don't have beef against each other. I'm pretty sure Liam Martin and Cameron Munster are two of those players. Like, a lot of articles like, oh, Liam Martin and Cameron Munster don't like each other. They're going to take each other's heads off. Like, do you understand? Like, first of all, that's just ridiculous that how you phrase that. But at the same time, like, the players are like sitting there like, what the actual heck? Just, I don't know. Just, wow. Now, here's the thing. The players will actually sometimes play into that. Like, for example, there was a lot of news articles around Origin 23 that Jerome Luai was the new villain on the block for State of Origin, which, yeah, kind of true, which is absolutely fine. But the thing is that journalists were selling that story point like really, really down to earth. And quite honestly, like, and it got to the point where Jerome Luai actually played into it. And it got to the point where, like, every single thing that Jerome Luai would post on Instagram or anything like that, something so minor, would just be blown out of proportion. I'm pretty sure, like, one of his Instagram stories, like, he posted something because apparently he was getting death threats, which, by the way, if you ever death threat a player, that's absolutely terrible. Shame on you for doing that. So he decided to respond to the trolls, which, honestly, not a good move on Jerome Luai's part. But he didn't mean it in a bad way. He just said, chill, you got work tomorrow, which obviously that enraged a lot of people. But guess what? Guess where it was on the very next day? NRL 360. You see what I mean? The reporters just play right into the, and there's this one reporter, and this is getting opinion territory, and that's absolutely fine. There's this one reporter which I cannot stand. I just can't stand him. It's not Buzz, by the way. Before anyone asks, Buzz is just like, I think he's just a character. But there's this one reporter. I won't say who it is. And he's so annoying. And he's like, the thing is that every single time, and you can figure out who this is because I'm probably going to say every single time he's reporting, he's always in the bloody shot. Like, he's just like, yeah. And he was even doing it today. Just like, holy shit. Like, why? Just why? Oh, the reporters seem to be more popular than the footy players, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, what do you guys think of that? That's my rant. That's my rant for the Galaxsi Scrum. My first actual rant. Like, oh my God. I wanted to talk about, like, completely honest with you guys, I wanted to talk about the whole high tackle thing. But as soon as Andrew Abdo came on 360, like, no. I'm like, nah, this is better. We have to do this. And I felt like this was a spicy topic. So what do you guys think while I rest my voice? Oh, rant time. Rant. Oh. Oh, man. That is an absolute bonkers of a topic. Oh. Also, I just want to point this out right now. This is like completely off topic. I'm just checking Twitter because I want to see some stuff. Nothing but West Tigers. It's a Tigers Twitter account. Basically said the NRL's oldest halves pairing up against the NRL's youngest halves pairing. Ben Hunt at 6 and Adam Reynolds 234. So 35 and 34. Ben Hunt, by the way, is older than Adam Reynolds. How insane is that? I didn't even realize. Like, when's Adam Reynolds' birthday? When was Adam Reynolds born? 10th of July. Okay. And Ben Hunt, I know Ben Hunt only recently had his birthday because I actually wished him a happy birthday on the Broncos Twitter. Yeah, March 27th. Like, that's absolutely insane. These two are almost the same age. Like, holy shit. And then Lockie Galvin, 19, and Latu Fanu, 19. 10 games. So you've got, let's see, about 560 plus games. Hold on, I don't know. Hey, Google, what is 338 plus 291? $629 games between the two halves of the Broncos. And then between the two halves of the Tigers, 25 and 10. I could do that on my fingers. That's 35 games. Like, holy shit. Like, the Tigers could be actually... If Broncos lose this, I'm going to be like, what the hell happened? Okay. All right. So it's going to be youth versus... experience. So yeah, cool. Anyway, sorry about that. Had to say that, but let's move on. And bunnies, guys, I think you're interested in this topic. Latrell Mitchell is back, but not as you think. Latrell Mitchell has been named to make his 2025 season debut for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, but not as fullback, as center. Left center, to be precise, during their grudge match against the Sydney Roosters. So this actually means that Jye Grey will actually now play fullback. And quite honestly, this is actually a very good move from Wayne Bennett. Because Jye Grey, by the way, for those who don't know, Jye Grey is actually leading the Dally M tally. And I'm pretty sure if he continues the way he is, because he's been playing really well, Jye Grey... will basically keep going up on the Dally M. He could be fullback of the year. But also Jye Grey could cement that fullback position from Latrell Mitchell. Which Latrell Mitchell, like you guys can make an argument for this, and that's absolutely fine, because I do know there's a lot of argument. Latrell Mitchell is probably arguably one of the best fullbacks in the game. And I know you guys are like, oh, he plays better at center anyway, or oh, he's not a very good fullback. No, I would say he's top 5. Like, in the top 5, you've got Reece Walsh, Dylan Edwards. I think Latrell would be number 3, Tom Trbojevic, and I can't think of a 5th one right now. I wouldn't say Hammer right now, because that'd be absolutely crazy. Ryan Pappenhausen would be up there too. But yeah, those 5 fullbacks. Latrell Mitchell is definitely one of them. The fact that Jye Grey is able to dethrone Latrell Mitchell from the seating fullback position, That is bonkers. Now, maybe this might not be a permanent thing. I actually thought what would happen is that Latrell would actually take back his fullback position and Jye Grey would take the centre position, which quite honestly is a very reasonable assumption. But the thing is that when I think it's, I forgot his name. I don't know off the top of my head, sorry. This is how bad I am with names. Campbell Graham? Campbell Graham. When Campbell Graham comes back, Campbell Graham plays centre. When Campbell Graham comes back, that's going to be another headache for Wayne Bennett. Does Campbell Graham go to the NSW rugby to the New South Wales Rugby League, or does he take over from Latrell Mitchell? Latrell moves to fullback, but then what happens to bloody what the hell happens to Latrell? Or Jye Grey? There's a lot of implications. Mitchell's transition to the centre position is influenced by recent injuries to key wingers Tyrone Munro and Alex Johnston. This adjustment enables the Rabbitohs to field a robust back line with Jack Whiten shifting to the right centre. Coach Wayne Bennett has expressed confidence in this arrangement, emphasising that while Mitchell is the team's primary fullback, the current line best serves the team needs given the circumstances. Bennett stated, Latrell is our fullback and he will be our fullback. 3 outside backs were all injured and putting Latrell in the centres was our best option from a team's point of view. So this is quite interesting. So how does this actually last for the Rabbitohs? I feel like there's going to be a lot of debate when it comes to round 6 and 7, because when Tyrone Munro comes back, he'll go to centre. He can be a winger. When Alex Johnston comes back, whenever he does, he could be on the other wing. And then Campbell Graham, he's also a centre. There is a lot of things that you could do here. Honestly, it's absolutely outstanding. What the hell? Man, I don't know. It's quite interesting to see, how this is going to go for the Rabbitohs in 2025. And if the Rabbitohs win this game, I want to see, actually, what do the Rabbitohs have for the next few games? Where is it? Rabbitohs. All right, who do they've got next? They've got Roosters. I think that's a winnable game. They've got Cowboys, which I definitely think is a winnable game. That's actually, by the way, that's in Perth. So I think we've got our Perth doubleheader next week. I think Sharks is the other team. Yep. So you got Sharks and Sea Eagles and Rabbitohs and Cowboys. You've also got Eels and Raiders as well. So that's quite interesting. Pretty sure it's also I think it's another theme round next week. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. I could be wrong though. Hold on. No. Where's the hold on. Where's the? Oh, it's 25. Whoops. Whoopsie. Yeah, I thought it was footy and country round, but no, it's not. But yeah, it's quite interesting to see how the Rabbitohs are going to go. I definitely think they've got a lot of winnable games. So let's go back here. So Rabbitohs v Roosters. That's a winnable game. Rabbitohs v Cowboys. That's definitely a winnable game. Bulldogs v Rabbitohs. That's a tough game. That's the Good Friday game, I believe. So that's an afternoon game. Then they've got the Storm. Then they've got the Knights, which I think is a winnable game. And then they've got the Broncos, which that'll definitely be a winnable game. I know a lot of people are like, oh, why are you tipping against the Broncos there? I'm like, guys, you don't know what Bennett can do to us. Seriously. Sorry, my stuff is getting blurry. There we go. And then they got the Tigers. Is that the first time? Is that the only time they've got the Tigers? Yeah. Then they got the Tigers is definitely a winnable game. So that's their next 5. The next 5 is Roosters, Cowboys, Bulldogs. Bulldogs is technically a home game. It's a Bulldogs home game, but it's technically a Rabbitohs and Bulldogs home game. Storm. Then they got Storm. Then they've got Then they've got Knights at Suncorp, and then they've got Brisbane at Accor. So yeah, actually, they don't really have a lot of home games. Actual home games. So they've got they're at Accor next week, but that's the last time they're at Accor until it's technically they'll be back at Accor in round 7. Yeah. Actually, they do have a few rounds. Okay, completely ignore what I just said. Actually, they've got a good run of home games. Actually, yeah, that's not a bad lineup for the not a bad lineup for the Rabbitohs. Actually, I think honestly they've got it very winnable. I think honestly they could be top 4. Like if they win all those games, if they win at least like 3 of those games, like holy shit, they're going to be really good. And then obviously they've got their final clashes against the Roosters, and yeah, but yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting move. If it turns out to be very beneficial, I don't see Bennett moving away from it until his actual mainstays come. So I definitely think he's going to be. I think it's definitely going to be an interesting. I definitely think it's going to be an interesting few rounds for the Rabbitohs. So keep an eye on them. I think they'll be the team to watch, if I'm being completely honest. So that's it for the topics. Excuse me. So let's get in. So now we're at the tail end of the podcast. So this means we are now at the upcoming round tips and predictions. So let's get absolutely into it. I'm going to go ahead and start my music because I like doing music here. Okay, here we go. All right, you guys ready? All right, so first game is the Raiders v Sharks. The Raiders are going to be taking on the Sharks at GIO Stadium. I have tipped the Sharks 1-12. I believe this is actually going to be a very close game. Actually, I got to bring all the games up now that I think about it. So the Raiders v Sharks, actually Raiders are not favourites for this game. They're outsiders for the game, but I definitely think the Sharks will actually get the win here. However, definitely think the Raiders are going to give them a run. So I'm going to go Sharks 1-12. It is going to be a close game. I will say this though, if the Raiders win this, I definitely think they're going to be in a top 8 position this year. So we'll say that. And if Sharks lose, that's concerning. Because if they can't beat the Raiders, then that's alarming right now. Then we head on over to CommBank Stadium on the first Friday game, and it is the Panthers versus the Cowboys. So this is quite an interesting game at CommBank Stadium. Panthers are obviously favourites, with Cowboys way out of favourites. Big outs for Panthers: Brian Toto, Scott Sorensen, and Trent Talau. Big in though, they have Nathan Cleary that's in. So Nathan Cleary will be taking the reins, and I believe Isaiah Yeo is celebrating, I think, his 250th game in the NRL. So that is definitely a big milestone. So congratulations, Isaiah Yeo. And also for the Cowboys, I think they remain unchanged, if I'm being completely honest. I believe we actually have a debut as well. No, that is incorrect. Well, it's actually interesting because he played for the Knights last year, so that's quite interesting. And that's Thomas Jenkins, so he comes in. I think he's in. No, he's not. Okay, my mistake. So yes, so I'm definitely tipping the Panthers to win this one. I'm not gonna say 13 plus though, because I definitely think the Panthers need to rebuild themselves a little bit. So I'm definitely going to give the Cowboys a benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say Panthers 1-12. Then we head to the legendary derby of the NRL, and that is the Rabbitohs and Roosters at Accor Stadium. And as we just talked about with Latrell returning to the centres, and the music decided to stop on me, I don't want that. So there we go. The Rabbitohs and the Roosters are definitely going to give a big performance here, and I definitely think it's going to be a close game. I don't think either side is going to give an inch, but I definitely think one of these sides is going to be a win. And I think because it's a big factor that Latrell Mitchell is returning for this very game, I'm going to tip Rabbitohs to win 1-12. I definitely think this is going to be game of the round. And I think this is going to be a lot closer than people realize. I think people are expecting Rabbitohs to win 13 plus, but I definitely think the Roosters can actually give them a run. Even though the Roosters are probably not so great in terms of form, they have won against, the only win that they have against right now is the Penrith Panthers. Which, like, when you beat the Panthers, you should be able to win a lot more, if I'm being completely honest. But they haven't. They've lost against the Warriors, and they've lost against the Titans of all teams. So maybe they just stepped up. Maybe they just stepped down their performance a bit. Yes. Will James in the chat says, "What will be the game of the round?" I think it'll be this one. the Legendary Derby. Then moving to Saturday, we had the Eels and the Dragons, almost the spoon ball if I'm being completely honest. I definitely think the Eels were much more improved against the Seagulls last week. However, because of their win over the Melbourne Storm, I feel like this is going to give Dragons a lot more confidence. So I'm going to tip Dragons 1-12. I definitely think Eels will give them a run, but I definitely think the Eels actually have a winnable game here. However, I don't think that's the case. And I actually don't think the Eels are going to win a game in a while. With the fact that Mitchell Moses, we had an update on Mitchell Moses today as well. Moses is not returning till round 9. So, yeah, he's going to miss both Tigers games this year. Then coming back up to sunny Queensland, we actually have 2 games in Queensland on Saturday. The first one is the Titans versus the Dolphins. Dolphins showed a much more improved side on Saturday night, on last Friday. But quite honestly, I think the Titans are definitely going to be really wanting another win on the trot. Now, they have won 2 games. They have beaten the Newcastle Knights, which is actually a really impressive win. Obviously, it was at home. And they've beaten the Roosters now, which is also another impressive win, and that was on the road. So coming back home and wanting an actual another win, this is a good opportunity to do it. So I definitely think the Titans are going to be the good favourites here. And it looks like so. And I thought, honestly, when the Titans lost Kinney, I legitimately thought the Titans were in trouble. But De Groot has honestly stepped up, which, by the way, I've actually met De Groot's grandmother. And she's seriously a really nice person. Like, seriously really nice. So the Titans actually played a game near where I lived, like, before I moved. And quite honestly, I went to the game and, like, because it was obviously a trial game. And I met this nice lady, and she's like, oh, my grandson's playing. He's like, oh, who is it? It's like Jalen De Groot. I'm just like, oh, okay. And like, yeah, it was seriously nice and all that. Obviously that was the reserve, but now he's made his NRL debut. So that's really good. And I definitely think he's definitely done really well. I think he scored a try last game too, if I recall correctly. No, he hasn't. Sorry, my mistake. But yeah, he's been in the side in his second stint, and he's won. Like, he did really well. Dolphins, on the other hand, they have a big out with Tom Gilbert, which I believe. Who comes in for Tom Gilbert? Lemuelu, I believe, is on the second row. I believe he's starting now. I think Kenny Bromwich actually moves it. No, I'm pretty sure he's playing. Lemuelu. Oh, Lemuelu is just starting, okay. But I thought he was injured. I don't know. Oregon Keeley. No, definitely not that. That's interesting. Okay, don't know who's in for the Dolphins, but I think this is actually an easy one. You guys are going to actually be surprised with the margin. I'm going to go Titans, but I'm going to go 13+. I think the Titans will pile points on. I think the Dolphins, I felt like the Dolphins had a walk in the park against the Broncos last week. And I feel like the Titans are going to be a whole different beast than what they've realized last time. So, I'm going to go Titans 13+. And the final game for Super Saturday, and this is the game I'm actually going to. And honestly, this also could be game of the round as well. And that is the Brisbane Broncos against the West Tigers. The Galaxsi Derby IRL. However, a lot of things are pointing to the Broncos to win. So the Broncos are heavy favourites for this game, while the West Tigers are heavy outsiders right now. But quite honestly, there is a good reason. Now, I will start with the Broncos and say there is one key out, and that is Jordan Ricky, and Jaden Hunt comes into the bench while Pia Cora jumps to the starting side, which I think, honestly, that is a very fair call from Madge Maguire. So I definitely think that's a very good start for the Broncos. Tigers, on the other hand, I think there's a bit more questions. So obviously, they have lost Jerome Luai and Jarrell Skelton. Lugale Louis comes into the winger position, and coming into halfback, you would think Adam Dewey would slide into the halfback position because he has played 7 before. But actually, it's Latu Fanu that is coming in. And that's why they're one of the youngest combinations of halves, the West Tigers, this year. So you've got Galvin and Fanu in the halves. And they're replacing, and then I think coming in onto the bench. Nope, their bench is almost unchanged. But yeah, definitely a revenge game for the Tigers. They are currently I think it's currently 2-2 because I think the last time these two teams meet, Broncos won both times, but I think the 3 times before that, Broncos lost. And both, like 2 of those times were at Suncorp Stadium. There was one in Wimbledon League round. Tigers just shocked the Broncos, and that actually started the Broncos' fall from grace. Then they beat the Broncos in an afternoon game at Suncorp Stadium the year before. And then the year before that, I think it was 2020, that Broncos went to Leichhardt, I think it was Leichhardt Oval, and they got absolutely hammered by the Tigers. I think it was like round 8 or something, if I recall correctly. Nope. Round 9? Nope. Round 10? Yeah, 48. Yeah, Tigers almost put 50 on them. That would have been the end of the Broncos season if that happened. Oh wait, no, it was already over because someone put 59 on them. Yeah, that's absolutely shocking. I think they had 50 put on them a few times. Yeah, they did. Holy shit. Damn. Roosters just were brutal that year to them. Damn. And Parramatta, I guess. Parramatta were really brutal to them. But that was like the year of COVID, so we'll give that to them. But yeah, this is a very easy game to tip, if I'm being completely honest. But it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be as a blowout as people realize. So I'm going to tip Broncos, but I'm only going to tip them 1-12. I think the Tigers will show up for this game. And I definitely think the Tigers have something that they're brewing. And I definitely think this is going to be their true test. If the Tigers win this game, they are a top 8 contender. I will say that. Then moving on to Sunday game, the Sunday afternoon game, we have the Manly Warringah Seagulls up against the Melbourne Storm. The Storm are currently the favourites for this game. However, when I originally did this game, I actually tipped this Melbourne Storm to win 13+. However, what I didn't realise is that Jerome Hughes is still in the reserves. So there is a good chance he will still not play, and apparently it is very likely he will not play for Jerome Hughes will not play for Melbourne this week. So if Jerome Hughes plays, and obviously we have the battle of Brookie. Now, before I get into that, on the Seagulls side, they've lost Josh Aloiai, which I believe Falu comes in. So that's interesting. So Falu comes in for Aloiai, I believe. Hold on. Pretty sure oh, he's a prop. Hold on. Or is it? Oh, Nathan Brown comes into the starting side, actually. And I think was it Corey Waddell? I don't know. I don't know who's in now. I wish they could just tell you, like, what positions that they're playing and stuff. I feel like that would just be easier. But Nathan Brown comes into the starting side. So obviously he is ready, he's ready to go. And like I said, I definitely think the Seagulls have lost a bit of firepower with this, but it is a Brookvale game. So this could be good for Seagulls' favour. A lot of people want to tip the Seagulls to win. Now, if Tom Trbojevic was playing, I would be tipping the Seagulls to win this. However, they are off a loss. It was an embarrassing loss. They have a lot to fix, and they are also the premiership favourites. So, I'm tipping Melbourne. I'm tipping Melbourne 1-12. If Jerome Hughes comes into the side, I'm adjusting that to 13+. And the final game of the round is the Bulldogs up against the Newcastle Knights. Tupanua is out, while the Knights remain unchanged. So I don't see any, I think Jamal Simon or Jacob Preston, someone comes into the starting side, which is really good. But honestly, the Knights are really unchanged. And honestly, after their most impressive win against the Sharks, I think this is a very easy game. I should also point out, Jacob Kuraz is lurking in the reserves, and I definitely think he is a good chance to play. So, if Jacob Kuraz comes in, this could be a very dominant game from the for the Bulldogs. So that being said, the Knights are also unchanged. Their last victory was, I think, against the Dolphins, if I recall correctly. They're off the bye, I believe. Yes, they are. And this is a Core Stadium game. I think this is the Bulldogs' first game in a Core Stadium. And their last game was against the Titans at the Gold Coast, and it was a 26-6 thrashing. I definitely think the magic of the Knights is kind of starting to wear off a little bit. So, and the Bulldogs, they are honestly premiership contenders. So I'm going to give compliments to the Knights because I definitely think Kalen Ponga will help this. But I'm going to say Bulldogs 1-12. And that is my tip. We've got Sharks 1-12, Panthers 1-12, Rabbitohs 1-12, Dragons 1-12, Titans 13+, Broncos 1-12, Storm 1-12. If Jerome Hughes plays, it's 13+. And then Bulldogs 1-12. So those are my tips and predictions for round 5, multicultural round, which we didn't even talk about. This is actually a thing round, our first thing round of 2025, and it's multicultural round. The first, I just love the multicultural round, quite honestly. Just celebrate the different cultures of the NRL, and quite honestly, love it when we celebrate stuff like this. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the Scrum episode for tonight. Seriously, thank you all so much for watching. Seriously appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button or hit the follow button if you're listening to this on Spotify. And other than that, guys, make sure you check out the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, thank you so much. You guys are absolutely amazing people. And guys, I hope you have an amazing night, and take care and enjoy your football.